When gods quarrel, it's not thunder that shakes the sky, it's dreams that unravel reality. In the closing moments of the Sandman season to part 2, the realm of the endless is no longer safe, and Dream himself faces a choice that may rewrite everything we thought we understood about fate, family, and free will. Season to part 2 of the Sandman continues the delicate, poetic chaos that Neil Gaiman's world is known for. But where season to part 1 laid the emotional groundwork, this second half dives deeper into the tension between the endless, those immortal beings who rule over fundamental aspects of existence, and what happens when one of them dares to change. The story picks up with Morpheus, or Dream, still carrying the emotional scars of his past decisions. His journey throughout this season shows us a Dream who is growing more human, more conflicted, and more uncertain of the strict roles the endless are supposed to play. But he isn't the only one shifting. The balance of the universe begins to tremble when Delirium, Dream's younger sister, takes a larger role, and her presence is anything but subtle. Delirium's chaotic influence spreads through the dreaming like a fever. While her power is often dismissed as childish madness, it becomes clear that she may know more than she lets on. As she tugs at the seams of reality and perception, Dream is forced to face uncomfortable truths about his own rigidity, about change, and about the price of keeping order. Meanwhile, Desire continues to stir conflict from the shadows. Ever the manipulator, Desire plants seeds of doubt not only in the minds of others, but even in Dream himself. Their motivations are slippery, neither fully villainous nor trustworthy, and the games they play are getting riskier. The tension between Dream and Desire now simmers like a quiet war waiting to erupt. At the same time, Lucien, once Dream's most trusted librarian and ally, begins questioning the very foundation of the dreaming. She uncovers that cracks are forming, not just in the architecture of dreams, but in Dream's own resolve. She warns him, tries to reach him, but his sense of duty often blinds him to the softer truths he sees so clearly. As we move closer to the finale, new characters are introduced, mortals whose lives brush against the endless, and minor deities caught in their wake. These human perspectives remind us of something critical, that the actions of the endless have consequences, not only in the abstract, but in the lives of everyday people. A poet loses her mind, a child refuses to wake up, a dying man bargains with a nightmare, and then there's Destiny, the oldest of the endless, whose massive book contains the entire timeline of existence. When Destiny appears, things get serious. His presence usually signals that events are spinning out of control, or that they're aligning too closely to a fate that cannot be undone. His warnings are vague, but heavy. He tells Dream that change is coming, and that trying to stop it will only bring ruin. Throughout part 2, we also see the dreaming itself start to shift. The once stable world of dreams becomes unpredictable. Nightmares walk freely, symbols lose meaning, entire dreams collapse into silence. This is not just the result of chaos, it's a sign that Dream's own sense of identity is fraying. As he tries to hold everything together, he begins to realize the dreaming is not a kingdom he rules, it is an extension of who he is. And he is changing. By the time we reach the final episode, several threads have been pulled tight. Delirium's erotic visions hint at something darker hiding beneath her smile. Desire's manipulations seem to be working, pushing Dream toward a path he may not come back from. Lucien is distant, possibly preparing for something Dream hasn't foreseen. And Dream himself is beginning to wonder whether his role as Lord of Dreams still has any meaning at all. Season to part 2 doesn't just move the plot forward, it deconstructs the foundation of the endless. It asks big questions. Can change exist in a system built on function? What happens when the embodiment of Dream begins to dream of something more? And is this evolution or collapse? And that's the perfect place to lead into our next chapter, the finale, because everything we've just recapped, it all explodes in the last episode, and nothing, not even Morpheus himself, will walk away unchanged. The final episode of the Sandman season to part 2 begins not with a bang, but with silence. A quiet, haunting stillness settles over. The dreaming, the usual beauty and wonder have faded. Colors are muted, the skies feel heavy, something is wrong, and Dream knows it. He walks through his kingdom like a man walking through a memory, unsure if he still belongs there. Delirium appears first, wandering barefoot across a bridge made of butterflies. Her smile flickers like a broken light. She tells Dream she saw the world crack open in her dreams and heard laughter from something with no mouth. Her words make little sense, as always. But this time, Dream listens more closely. He's starting to realize that Delirium's madness might be masking truths too terrible to face directly. In the heart of the dreaming, the cracks deepen. Entire dreamscapes vanish without warning. Nightmares escape their bounds, and one of Dream's oldest creations, a masked nightmare named Carvos, turns on him, accusing him of neglect and weakness. Carvos doesn't want freedom, he wants structure. He wants a Lord of Dreams who isn't questioning his place in the universe. For the first time, Dream hesitates to strike down a nightmare. And Carvos vanishes into the void, leaving behind only sand. As tensions rise, Desire makes their move. In one of the most tense scenes of the finale, Desire confronts Dream face to face in the shattered hall of glass. The dialogue is sharp, quiet, like knives being drawn in the dark. Desire taunts Dream for trying to change, for thinking he can escape what he was made to be. They accuse him of weakness, of emotion, of letting love and regret poison his duty. Dream doesn't respond with rage. Instead, he asks Desire a question that catches them off guard. If you could stop being Desire, would you? Desire freezes. That moment says more than any argument could. Neither of them is free, and both know it, but the true turning point comes when Destiny arrives. With his long cloak and the massive book chained to his wrist, he appears at the threshold of the dreaming without being summoned. He opens his book, the book that contains all things, and reads aloud a passage that hasn't happened yet. The dream of the endless shall walk willingly into silence. Dream understands what it means. The universe is shifting. A choice must be made, not forced upon him by fate or family, but chosen freely. Stay as he is and risk destroying the dreaming. Or let go and become something unknown. At this moment, the realm trembles. Storms of sand twist through the skies. Matthew the Raven, ever loyal, begs Dream not to listen to Destiny. Lucien appears for the first time in the episode, standing beside the crumbling library of unwritten books. He tells Dream the truth he's been avoiding. He is changing because he needs to. Because staying the same will break him, and with him, everything else. And then, the most emotional moment of the finale unfolds. Dream walks to the center of his realm, a vast plain where all dreams begin. He kneels, he reaches into his chest and removes his helm, not just as a symbol, but as a piece of his very soul. The helm turns to dust in his hand. And then he whispers, "Let it go." The skies split open, light floods the dreaming. Everything freezes, time stops, and in that silence, a figure steps forward from the light. It's not Morpheus, but it's something, a new shape, a new presence. Something that was Dream, but now feels different, calmer, older, wiser, or perhaps more dangerous. Delirium watches from afar, her eyes glowing with sadness and pride. Desire vanishes without a word. Destiny closes his book. The dreaming begins to rebuild itself, but not as it was before. The rules are different. The walls are thinner. The boundaries between dreams and reality no longer as firm as they once were. The episode ends with a quiet shot. A sleeping child tossing in bed. The camera lingers as the child whispers in their sleep. He's watching. Cut to black. No music. No explanation. Asterisk, just the sound of wind over sand. Asterisk, now that we've broken down the final episode scene by scene, let's go deeper. Let's look at the meaning behind the madness, the truth hidden in the silence, and the symbols that quietly connect everything in the Sandman season to part 2. Because this isn't just a fantasy story. It's a story about purpose, identity, and what happens when eternal beings start to ask, what if I changed? Asterisk, the most powerful theme in this final stretch of episodes is transformation. Every major character is going through it in their own strange and cosmic way. Dream, the once cold, calculating lord of the dreaming, is beginning to feel not just sadness or anger, but real human emotion, regret, hope, doubt, and maybe even love. Asterisk, we see this question reflected in Delirium. She seems scattered, wild, silly. But there's something heartbreaking beneath her chaos. Delirium, we learn, used to be delight, the embodiment of joy and wonder. Something happened long ago that changed her forever. We don't know what it was. But we do know this, she didn't choose to become Delirium. It just happened. And no one, not even the other Endless, has ever helped her find her way back. Her transformation was painful, misunderstood, and permanent. She is living proof that change isn't always growth. Sometimes it's just survival. Asterisk. Desire, on the other hand, fears change not in themselves, but in Dream. Because if Dream evolves, if he breaks his mold, then Desire's games stop working. Their power depends on knowing what people want, how they react, and how to manipulate them. A Dream who refuses to play by the old rules is unpredictable. And that, to Desire, is terrifying. That's why they push him, mock him, tempt him to either fall or harden. They want Dream to snap, to become the strict, cold version of himself again. Because then they know how to win. But when Dream lets go of his helm in the finale, he breaks their control. He becomes unreadable. He becomes new, asterisk, and then there's Destiny, a figure who barely speaks, but looms large over everything. He represents fate, the idea that everything is already written. That no one, not even the Endless, has a true choice. But the episode questions this belief. Yes, Destiny can read the future. Yes, it's all written in his book, but when he reads that line, the dream of the Endless shall walk willingly into silence, there's a pause. Even he seems unsure what it means, because willingly implies choice. And maybe that's the deepest idea the story is exploring. That destiny and free will aren't enemies, they are partners. The path may be written, but how you walk it and why is still yours. Asterisk symbolism is woven everywhere. Let's break down a few. Asterisk, the helm. Dream's mask is more than a tool. It's a symbol of his old self. When he lets it dissolve, he's shedding not just power, but ego, control, tradition. It's a funeral for who he was. Asterisk sand. Sand has always represented dreams, shifting, fleeting, impossible to hold. But here, sand also becomes a metaphor for time, for decay, for the slow erasure of certainty. When Carvos turns to sand, it's a warning. Even nightmares die when their creator loses direction. Asterisk butterflies. They follow Delirium in many scenes. Traditionally symbols of transformation, they're fragile and beautiful, but their wings can trigger storms. Just like Delirium herself, asterisk the broken library, Lucienne standing in the ruins of the library of unwritten books reminds us that even possibilities, stories not yet told, are in danger when the dreaming is unstable, if Dream loses his way. Imagination itself begins to die. Asterisk, one of the most powerful symbolic moments comes at the very end. The child whispering he's watching. It's a quiet reminder that Dream may be changing, but he is still present, still powerful. Still watching over the world of dreams, even if he's no longer the same person. Or endless. Asterisk, this ending doesn't give us clear answers. It doesn't wrap things in a neat bow. That's not the Sandman style. Instead, it gives us something better, a sense of evolution. A feeling that the story is no longer about rules and hierarchies, but about growth, choice, and what it means to become something new in a world that wants you to stay the same forever. And in the next section, we'll explore what happens to each of the major characters and how their endings or lack of them might shape the future of this universe. As the final dust settles and the dreaming begins to reshape itself, we're left with questions. But we're also left with choices made by the characters that reveal not just where they are now, but where they might go. Because the Sandman isn't just about cosmic events. It's about people or beings trying to find purpose in the roles they were born into. And in this final chapter of Season 2 Part 2, each of the endless and those caught in their orbit must face what they've become. Let's start with Dream, the center of it all. His decision to lay down the helm, his most sacred symbol, is not just about sacrifice. It's about surrender. Dream doesn't die. He doesn't vanish, but he changes. His transformation isn't loud. It's quiet, thoughtful. It's the act of someone who finally understands that true strength is not in holding on, but in letting go. We don't yet know exactly what this new version of Dream will become, but one thing is clear. Morpheus is no longer trapped by the past. He has released himself, and in doing so, released the dreaming from a cycle that was tearing it apart. Then, there's Delirium. For the first time, we see a flicker of clarity in her eyes, not madness, not chaos, but understanding. When she watches Dream become something new, she doesn't laugh or joke. She stands still, silently. She knows what this moment means. Maybe because she's been through it herself. Maybe because her madness is a kind of wisdom no one else can truly grasp. Either way, Delirium ends this season as both the most broken and the most aware. She may be the key to what's coming next and her sadness. That may be a sign she's starting to remember what she lost when she stopped being delight. Desire, meanwhile, doesn't get a loud exit, and that's exactly what makes it so unsettling. When Dream changes, Desire simply vanishes. No speech, no final taunt, just gone. That silence speaks volumes. It could mean fear. It could mean confusion. Or it could mean Desire is plotting something even more dangerous. Because if Dream is no longer the predictable, prideful king he once was, then Desire has lost their map. And for a being who depends on knowing what people crave, that unpredictability might be the first real threat they've ever faced. They'll adapt, they always do, but this time, they may not have the upper hand. Lucienne is the quiet hero of this season. She stands for order, memory, and reason in a realm built from chaos and creativity. When everyone else was chasing power or slipping into fear, she held the line. And in the end, she doesn't claim control. She simply stays present, watching, supporting, waiting. Her library may be damaged, but her trust in Dream never fully faded. And now that Dream has changed, Lucienne is likely to become his anchor, the one who helps guide the dreaming into whatever new form it must take. Then there's Matthew, the Raven, loyal, blunt, often used for comic relief, but never just a sidekick. In the finale, his desperation is raw. He doesn't understand what's happening, but he feels it. He begs Dream not to go. And in doing so, he reminds us that even cosmic gods need someone who loves them without rules. Whether Dream heard him or not, Matthew's loyalty remains unshaken. And we suspect he'll play a larger role going forward, as the voice of heart and reason in a realm where logic and emotion often blur. Other characters, like the rogue nightmare Carvos, the sleeping child in the final scene, or even Destiny himself, each leave ripples behind. Carvos's rebellion shows that even nightmares crave structure. The child's whisper at the end he's watching may hint that Dream's influence still lingers. And Destiny remains unchanged, unreadable, always turning the pages of his book. But even he seemed unsettled in the finale, and if he is worried, we should be too. Ultimately, every character ends this season standing on the edge of something new. No one is fully resolved. No one is entirely at peace. That's what makes the Sandman so compelling. It doesn't give you conclusions. It gives you transitions. Everyone is in motion. Everyone is becoming. And well, that might be terrifying in a universe built on eternal roles. It's also incredibly human, because at its heart, the Sandman is about what it means to be, to hold power, to change, to hurt, to grow, and no matter how immortal these characters are, their journeys are deeply familiar, and in the next and final section, we'll explore the cliffhanger ending and what it might mean for Season 3. We also can't ignore the tone of the ending. It's soft but unsettling. No music, no final score, just wind, just silence. That choice isn't random. It tells us that whatever's coming next won't be loud or dramatic at first. It will arrive slowly, quietly, like a dream that starts as a whisper and grows into something you can't escape. There's also a small but powerful moment hidden in the scene. The child shifts in bed, turning their head toward the camera. Their eyes flutter, not fully awake, but aware. It's a blink and you will miss it moment, but it matters. Because it suggests that even humans are starting to sense the shift in the dreaming. That may be the barrier between gods and mortals is breaking. And that brings us to one final thought. Is this child the dreamer or the dream? Because in the Sandman, that's never a simple question. Dreams can take shape, they can walk, they can feel. We've seen it before with characters like Fiddler's Green, so maybe this child is more than just a sleeper. Maybe they're the beginning of a new dream. Or the final remnant of an old one. The truth is, the ending isn't designed to explain everything. It's designed to haunt us, to make us question what comes next. To remind us that the dreaming isn't a place with clear rules. It shifts, it breathes. It evolves, and now with Morpheus gone, or reborn, and the endless shaken, we're standing at the edge of a new story. One that promises not answers, but mysteries. And in the next and final section, we'll explore what that next story might be, what Season 3 could hold, and which arcs from the comics might be coming to life.